Hey guys, it's me, Carly, coming at you with another video. And I want to talk about characters, top 10 characters who exude white privilege and why I think they exude white privilege. Some of you probably won't agree with some of the people on this list, but I don't care. It's my list and I can do what I want with it. And some of the characters have struggled, but their skin color was not a factor in their struggle. But anyway, without further ado, kicking off the list at number 10 for characters who embody white privilege is Rory Gilmore. And Laurel. Well, actually, now that I think about it, Lorelai and Rory both benefit from white privilege. But Rory is the most entitled, privileged character I've ever seen in my life. I mean, where do I even start with this girl? Well, for one, she lives in a small town that frickin' coddles her. And she can never do anything wrong. She never does anything bad. She's always perfect Rory Gilmore. And she's this awesome, talented person with so many gifts. And I'm just sitting here like, the only thing significant she's done is study and work to get into Chilton. And that's like about the only significant thing she's done. And maybe write an article for a college. I forgot what the article was on because it was that forgettable to me. And write an article on like a protest for a parking lot. But Rory is not a good person. She is not nice. And she is literally one of the worst characters that they try to pass off as nice and kind and decent and a person who works hard. No. She's book smart, but she is not. She has zero common sense. And she cannot take criticism. She can't handle being hindered in any way. I mean, we're talking about a girl who bitched and moaned over not having a study tree, a special study tree, because it was the only place she could study at the time. And made excuses on why she couldn't study and made excuses on why she wasn't getting proper studying in. She paid a guy $20 for that study tree that she spent one episode bitching and moaning about, and then she never uses it again. But she like, who the hell pays $20 for a stinking tree? Like, you are so entitled, Rory. And then other things she's done. I hate saying this about females, and who cares? Like, it's not a bad thing to be promiscuous. But Rory's a hoe. Okay, I'm sorry, but she's a hoe. She has cheated on every single one of her boyfriends that she's been with. Excuse me, my mouth is a little dry. And it's a goal of mine to drink more water. but in a reusable water bottle, but I'm clearly using plastic because my brother like bought a big case of water. And I don't like my house water because it's from city. Ugh. It's from the city, and city water is sorry. And I know I shouldn't be complaining about my water, but city water is nasty. But it is. Okay. Anyways, back to Rory. Okay. Her grandparents, her grandma throws her a party, invites her friends, and is trying to do something nice for her. No, she should have. Yes, Emily should have asked Rory first. But now that I look back on it, I mean, Emily did have good intentions, so I kind of won't get too hard on Rory for that one. But still, it was not handled well. Let's see. Other ways that Rory is privileged and entitled is other than paying a guy $20 for a study tree. Like, when she is getting feedback from Mitchum, and Mitchum tells her, I'm sorry, you don't got it. You'd be a great secretary. And instead of having an Elle Woods-like moment of going and buying, or of working harder, because Warner told Elle that Elle wasn't smart enough to be a lawyer. Elle wasn't good enough to be a lawyer, like, told her all of this. Like, oh, you're not smart enough, sweetie. And then Elle Woods was like, am I in glue here, or did we not get into the same law school, Warner? And then she's in a bunny costume, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to prove these people wrong. I'm smart. I'm going to work extra hard to prove I'm just as worthy as... I might be someone who dresses like a Malibu Barbie, but I'm just as worthy of being at Harvard Law School as these guys. And I'm going to prove that. And I'm going to prove it to myself. I'm going to prove that to my professor. And she does. She works hard. She becomes the lawyer she wants to be. Granted, she only went there to get Warren back, but found someone better. So that's a bonus. But Rory's reaction to Mitchum telling her she don't got it is going and stealing it. She goes and she steals a yacht. And gets arrested. And she drops out of Yale. And you know what? You know what she doesn't do? She doesn't have to struggle to get a job. She doesn't struggle to find a place to live. She doesn't struggle to make ends meet. She was told she couldn't have a job. But you know what? You know where she gets to go? No, you know what does happen though? Oh, and she doesn't struggle finding a lawyer because, thankfully, because she's rich, or her grandparents are rich. And no way in hell would my grandma do this for me. Richard and Emily have a lawyer on speed dial. They're not even mad at Rory for stealing a yacht or dropping out of Yale. Or they're not trying to talk some sense into her. They literally talk up how great Rory is to this lawyer that they're friends with and have on speed dial. And they talk up what a wonderful freaking person that Rory is, and she's not wonderful. She's a terrible person. And she's not a well-written character if you're trying to make her nice and trying to develop her. Not only, she is privileged, okay? Because not only does she get a lawyer thanks to her grandparents that she doesn't even have to pay for. Her grandparents are paying for it. She gets to move into the guest house. And yes, Emily and Richard did become overbearing. But the fact that she gets to live in her grandparents' guest house, she gets to, she gets a job with the DAR, a job that she did not earn. She got the job because she has connections to Emily, which connections are very important. And she got the job simply because her last name is Rory, or not Rory, simply because her last name is Gilmore. I mean, what kind of a reaction is to go and steal a yacht? Like, oh, Mitchum told me I don't got it, now I'm gonna go steal a yacht. It's like, no, I'm not gonna go run around the corner, maybe, like, get drunk, or, go smoke some pot, or, like, it's stealing a yacht, dropping out of Yale, and moving into her grandparents' guest house. And she doesn't even have to pay rent. And then she's a shit to Paris, and she doesn't have anywhere to live. And where does she go to the moment she goes back to Yale? She goes to Paris's house to live. And then she gets to move in with Logan. And then she writes an article saying how terrible rich people are. And Logan calls her out on this crap because whether Rory wants to admit it or not, she loves being privileged. She loves the rich life that Lorelai tried to run from. And she's had a lot of things handed to her on a silver platter. And then in the revival, okay, it's one thing to sleep with your ex-boyfriend who's married to another woman when you're 19 and you make a dumb mistake like that. I mean, granted, it's a pretty big mistake. And it's one thing to have fallout and animosity, but as long as you're willing to learn from it, I could have easily forgiven that. Does Rory learn from that? No. Instead, she cheats on Paul, her boyfriend that she keeps forgetting to dump, with Logan, and Logan is cheating on Odette, his fiance. They're cheating together, and the revival just defecated all over Logan's character development. And it's like Rory is randomly sleeping around. She really doesn't have what it takes to be a reporter because she throws a fit because she doesn't get the job she thinks she deserves. And she didn't do anything to work to get the job because her last name's because she's Rory fucking Gilmore and she can do whatever the hell she wants. And, well, her full name is Lorelai Lee, and her mom is Lorelai Victoria Gilmore. But anyway, because she's Rory Gilmore, she has the right to get a job, and she doesn't have to work for anything. And she is just the most freaking entitled character ever. Like, how is that your first reaction? Is to go and steal a yacht? And she didn't even prepare for an interview. And then Headmaster Charleston, I think is his name, the principal at Chilton, or headmaster or whatever, sees Rory is floundering. And Rory is offered a frickin' teaching job, which, in my personal opinion, Rory would make a great teacher. She'd be a great teacher. And what does she do? She goes and complains to her mom that, oh, the worst thing just happened to me. Master Charleston offered me a teaching job. Like, now I have to be a teacher. It's like, well, if it weren't for those teachers, you wouldn't be getting into Yale. Which, the only reason you went to Yale and not Harvard is because your grandpa set you up an interview. And seeing the potential of going to another school than the one you've always dreamed of, because anyone would kill for the opportunities Rory gets. And I didn't mean to make her rant like a 20-minute Rory rant, but I'm almost done. And she just continues to be a cheater, and she slept with a Wookiee, and she fell asleep during a reporting interview, and she doesn't have drive, motivation, or anything, and she'll settle for less if it means she can get what she wants, even though it's not really what she wants. Does that make sense? Like, Rory is not a good character. She is not a good person. She sucks as a character. I'm sorry, Alexis Bledel. You deserve better. You deserve to play a better character than Rory. And the writing for Rory is more talking than it is actions. Like, oh, Rory's a good person. She's so talented and she does all these amazing things, even though the writing for her shows us the complete opposite of that. You can't just tell me that she's a good person. You actually have to show me she is a good person. And she is the fucking shittiest character I've ever seen. Sorry, but she is. Sorry. Okay. Number 9, Mel from Descendants. And yes, I know she is a villain's kid, and yes, I know she's had a hard life. But I put her on the list because of the fact that she was able to get away with, not that I support it, and I don't remember if I've already made this video, so sorry if it's redundant, but she had a right to, no, she drugs Ben, and people are like, oh, but she was scared she wasn't gonna get with him. Her two enemies are women of color, Audrey and Uma. They're angry. And I get that Audrey is a classist snob. And I get that she was rightfully suspicious, but she didn't have to be so prejudiced against the villain's children. And yes, they were there to steal the wand. But, like, she didn't have to treat Audrey like crap. Like, making Ben break up with her in front of the entire school to ask out Mel. And I get that they were going to break up anyways, but you didn't have to make the breakup so disrespectful. And then she bullied Uma so much. And Uma also drugs men, but doesn't get away with it because Uma's black. Like, the black woman doesn't get away with it, but the white woman does. Not that you should get away with drugging people, but it's just, I'm not a huge Mal fan. And I also don't think she's like fit to be the queen of Oradon. I think if anyone's going to be the queen of anything, it should go to Evie, and I'm not just saying that because she's the mother of the evil queen. She truly has all the qualities of being the queen, because she cares about the people. She wants to she'll give Ben a list of people to be who are on the Isle and who want to come to Oradon. And she's truly willing to help other people and better herself. And who better to be the queen than someone who cares about the people and someone who has experienced life on the Isle. And Mal just wanted to run away from all of her problems. And she's like, I miss taunting and terrorizing people and all of that stuff. And like none of the other characters did. And she still gets coddled. And I get that she was struggling, but like, how can you be nice and miss taunting people? Or maybe it's just she misses the habit of it and I don't know. But yeah, I'm not a huge Mal fan. She's probably my least favorite Descendants character. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking on my phone for notes. So I didn't keep Mel too long. Up next on my list is Sarah Lance. And I've said before that Sarah Lance exudes white privilege. Mouth is dry again. Oh, excuse me. Sarah Lance. And people are gonna be like, how does she exude white privilege? She struggled. And I'm like, well, yeah, she did struggle. And yeah, she did live kind of a crappy life on the island and in the League of Assassins and tortured people on a boat and did really dark things. Really, all these fucked up things. But I say Sarah Lance exudes white privilege because all of the things that has happened to her in her life were brought on by her own selfishness. She sleeps with her sister's boyfriend. She basically gets away with sleeping around. And people love Sarah Lance. Love Sarah Lance. And I don't know why. Because she, to me, is the worst character ever to exist in a show. Because and they really need to correct, when I look up actresses who played Black Canary, correct that Katie Watts has never been Black Canary. She never will be the Black Canary. And the only thing that she has as Black Canary is being bisexual and fighting skills. And I've gone on the past before on why I don't like Sarah Lance. But Sarah Lance is just a shitty character. She has stolen all of her sister's potential. She has never had to apologize for anything wrong she's done. And she just, she's never held responsible for anything. Like, she kisses Nissa upon seeing her. And, okay, fine. But you got back with Oliver. And she really fucking irks me, and I can't watch Legends of Tomorrow because of her, so I have to watch around her scenes. It doesn't help that Katie Watts like kind of encourages the fetishization of a bisexual character. And Sarah embodies, like, take all the negative traits of a bisexual character, and Sarah Lance embodies all of those negative traits because she sleeps around, she's a cheat, she's a homewrecker, and and I mainly put her on this list because she has the alias of White Canary, which is once again being taken from an Asian or a Chinese woman, well, Asian woman. And it's just, I'm not okay with the whitewashing of her character and how she has stolen Laurel's fans. That would have been Laurel's fans. She's stolen the potential of. No, she stole Black Canary fans. She has basically made into a rip-off version of both canaries, and they need to wash their hands. The writers of the show need to wash their hands of any canary mantle. I will only accept Katie Cassidy as Black Canary. Even Black Siren becoming Black Canary on Earth 1, because in the comics, Earth 2 in the comics, Black Canary sometimes has come from Earth 2 in the past. And Sarah Lance is just, ugh. She is literally one of the worst characters I've ever seen in my life. And, ugh, I just want to punch her in the face. Because I literally hate her that much. Katie Watts deserves a better character. And speaking of Katie Watts, how does it feel knowing you're playing having the alias of an Asian woman? Because I really think Katie Watts needs to say, hey, I don't want to be White Canary anymore. I want us to wash our hands of this mantle, because this is just, because Arrow has written a clusterfuck of their female characters, and especially of any canary mantle they have. They've made it a clusterfuck of a mess. Okay, enough about Sarah. Number 7 is Kylo Ren. He is not, I mean, he's an okay villain, but like, people are shipping him with Rey. And I mean, what is it with calling healthy relationships like West Allen and Selena abusive, and then you turn around and you ship Rey with Kylo Ren, who has kidnapped her, traumatized her, tied her up, stabbed her. But it's okay. He can be shipped with, but he's cute. Well, I don't personally find him that. He's not my type, I'll say. But like, what is with people shipping characters, female characters, with someone who's abused them? But here's Finn, who did have a tough past, pretty much broke free from what are those white robot people? Like, oh, Stormtrooper. And was basically brainwashed to be a slave, but he still broke free of that, was a kind, caring person. Could be a potential love interest for Rey, but let's face it, Finn isn't white, and I know how people get when it comes to shipping their white faves with a black person. But it's more common with females, black females and white males, than it is with white females and black males. Excuse me. But like, oh, and also Kylo Ren's a freaking psychopath. I mean, he murdered his own father for no reason. For no good reason. I mean, how do you kill off Han Solo and you murder your own dad, and then you murder your dad and then you have his son kill him on top of that? Like, WTF, dude. Like, and he can get away with it, and people will cry tears for him and being like, oh, he had a sad past. Wow, wow, wow. No, I'm pretty sure he didn't. He wanted to follow into his grandfather's footsteps, Darth Vader. And then he kills his dad, and like, characters like that are still allowed to get sympathy. Gross. Like, you can't give sympathy to someone going through hard times who don't do anything bad, and you call them whiny, like you called Laurel Lance whiny for being angry that her boyfriend and her sister were sleeping together, and for going through for going through an addiction and struggling and having an emotional breakdown for all the bad things that happened to her. But Kylo Ren wanted to follow into his grandfather's footsteps, and he gets more sympathy, and then he still gets sympathy even though he's not a very sympathetic character, and he murdered his own father. I mean, he's fine as a villain, but like, stop coddling white characters, especially white female characters, who do the most atrocious things, and like shitting on characters who go through atrocious things but don't do anything bad. Ugh. Yeah, so he's really not my favorite. Okay, and he's like, look at him. He's kind of a Snape wannabe. I don't know how well you can... Sorry if that's not very good lighting. Kylo Ren. Up next on my list is Severus Snape. Severus Snape, let me start by saying that he is a good character on his own. He's complex and he's interesting. But as far as being a good person goes, this is a controversial opinion, because Snape's a very controversial character. But I can't bring myself to think he's a good person. And J.K. Rowling in an interview said that if it had been Neville's parents that were going to die, Snape would not have cared about Harry. And Snape gets, like, people let Snape get away with so many things. Like, he was best friends with a Muggle-born, and then called her the equivalent of a racial slur, a mudblood. And he wanted to join the equivalent of a white supremacy group that kills Muggle-borns, which was what his best friend was. And he came up with dark magic and wrote spells. And we don't get to see the full extent of his animosity between him and the martyrs. It was framed in a way that we're only supposed to feel bad for Snape. And I think there's more to the story than what we're being told. And he had an unhealthy obsession for Lily. And, like, he's done other things. Like, in the third book, because it's in the book, but not the movie, because they've left out a lot of things about how horrible Snape actually was. He threatened to kill a 13-year-old boy's pet. Frog. Yeah. He threatened to kill Trevor, Neville's pet frog. He didn't teach Harry how to block his mind control. He didn't let Ron and Harry explain the situation of why they had to arrive in the car. He made fun of Hermione's teeth, because a grown-ass man making fun of your frickin' teeth is a great idea. Because there's nothing like a grown man in his 30s making fun of a teenage girl's teeth. Or appearance in general. And he's like, well, I see no difference. He would constantly dock points from other houses, especially Gryffindor, and reward points to his own house, simply for answering a question correctly, or simply because Hermione was eager to answer a question and asked the question. And Ron in the book was like, well, you're the one who asked the question, and you wanted an answer, so you shouldn't have asked. But in the movie, Ron was like, Snape calls Hermione a know-it-all, and Ron agrees with him. But Ron in the book defended Hermione. And then he purposely asks Harry a question, a wizard-related question, knowing full well that Harry did not know the answer, called Harry arrogant, simply because Harry was famous, and Harry was not even arrogant to anyone. He didn't think he was better than anyone else. He didn't know that he was famous. And Snape knows this. He knows the way Harry was raised. He knows the kind of people that the Vernons are, because he knew that he knew the kind of person Petunia was. And he did all of these awful things. I mean, he became a freaking Death Eater even before he switched sides, because he thought it was Lily going to be the one that... He didn't know that it was Lily going to be the one that dies. He's one of those teachers that he actively sees bullying going on, and he will do nothing about it. And he just is so biased, and Snape was Neville Longbottom's Bogart. Like, name one thing that you fear the most. And Neville could have said Bellatrix, because Bellatrix tortured his parents to insanity. No, he's not afraid of that. He's not afraid of that evil bitch. You know who he is afraid of, though? He's afraid of his fucking teacher. Like, you're afraid of an educator. Neville's worst fear was literally Professor Snape. And he called Neville stupid in front of... He's called Neville... He's humiliated Neville on multiple occasions. He's called him stupid in front of Professor Lupin. No, stupid wasn't the exact word, but you got the gist of what he meant. And, sorry, but anyone who threatens to kill your pet turtle, or who threatens to kill your pet as a punishment for not performing potions correctly, or not performing an assignment correctly, in having, and having to, and threatening to punish Neville because Hermione was told not to help him, but she helped him anyways, so they could save Trevor's life. That is not a good person in my book. And his one good deed does not make up for all of the shitty things he's done. You don't threaten to kill someone's fucking pet. Especially a 13-year-old boy where Neville was dropped out of a window as a child because his grandma thought he was a squib, who has been berated by his grandma, who doesn't have good self-confidence to begin with, and any adult who bullies children for no reason other than because they're petty assholes, I don't classify them to be good people in my book. So yeah, Snape sucks. And I don't like Professor Snape. And Alan Rickman, you were an awesome Snape, R.I.P., and an awesome caterpillar in the Alice in Wonderland movie. And Snape is a fucking horrible character. No, not a horrible character. He is a fucking horrible person. And, sorry, but I will never accept Snape as a good person, simply for the fact that he was literally a student's worst fear. And after becoming a student's worst fear, after Snape realized that Neville dressed him in his grandma's clothes, the Bogart Snape, in his grandma's clothes, Snape taunted and teased Neville even more after finding out that he was Neville's Bogart. Yeah, so once again, Snape's fucking terrible, he fucking sucks, and he deserved to die. And he did not deserve to go out like a hero, because he's the fucking worst. Sorry. Number 5, and a lot of this isn't going to surprise you, is Caitlin Snow / Killer Frost. Oh my god. Could she be any more of the literal embodiment of white privilege? And the actress who plays her embodies white privilege too. But this is not a Daniel Panabaker rant video, so I'm gonna shove that aside for now. Caitlin Snow, I didn't have a problem with her in season 1, but she is coddled, okay? This woman is allowed to try and kill her whole team. She's allowed back on a team without question that she tried to help kill. She tried to help kill her whole team. Was welcomed back with open arms, except by Iris for that one time she snapped. She didn't consider Jax to be Firestorm because he wasn't a scientist, but he was a 4.0 student who was good with engineering. And the way she said Henry Hewitt was trying to make something of himself simply because he had a white coat and he was a scientist, that kind of rubs me the wrong way, the way she said it. And then she goes and, after trying to have Iris killed and being responsible for the fact that she put HR in the ground, put HR 6 feet under, she goes off. She seems to have accepted the fact that she has powers and is wanting to control them. No, she goes to a human trafficker for technology and the only way she can get this technology is if she agrees to help. If she agrees to let Killer Frost out for muscle. And she's mutilated people. She has traumatized people. She's kidnapped people. She's held an icicle to Cecile's throat and kidnapped Cecile. She has stabbed Barry twice. She, in the future, in a future version, the killer vibe fight ends with her mutilating her supposed best friend. Thank God that doesn't happen because Barry stops that from happening. And she almost freezes Cisco's hands off when she's on her cool ice trail thing. And the only reason it doesn't happen is because Barry jumps right in front of her. She almost killed Tracy Brand with an icicle to the face. And the only reason it was stopped was because Barry caught it at the last minute. Otherwise, she would have killed someone. And then Cisco tries to reason with her as Killer Frost. And it absolutely makes no sense on why she would try and kill Cisco, because Cisco didn't do anything to her. But people say, that wasn't Caitlin, that was Killer Frost. And I was like, well, they were the same person in season 3. She literally would have killed Cisco. She tried to kill him 3 times. And the only reason that she didn't get to kill Cisco, or didn't kill Cisco, is because Cynthia vibed Cisco was in danger and saved him from being impaled with an icicle. And she totally pulled an Earth 2 Killer Frost, and the only reason that Caitlin Snow didn't die was because Zoom caught Killer Frost, Earth 2 Killer Frost icicle, and then stabbed her with it. Although, in the 100th episode, the Time Wraith takes Zoom early before he could get to Caitlin Snow, so wouldn't Earth 1 Caitlin Snow be dead and Earth 2 Killer Frost be alive? And wouldn't Henry be alive if the Time Wraith took Zoom early? That's what I'm questioning. Because that whole thing doesn't make sense, but then again, it's the timeline and you can make multiple versions of yourself and some of you can get erased. So I guess that makes sense. Just staying hydrated. But like, and the fact that Caitlin Snow slash Killer Frost did all of these things, she went from trying to kill her whole team to teaming up with a human trafficker and mutilating people. And the whole team is like, it's okay, Caitlin, you're a good person. I forgive you. And like, Barry, of all people, called her a good person. And I'm just like, she's not a good person. She literally stabbed you in the leg twice. And she was like, it was the left leg last time, wasn't it? And then she, what else? Like, Barry, she's not a good person. She teamed up with an evil version of yourself and tried to kill Iris. Tried to help have Iris killed for no reason. And I'm just like, why is she still on this team? Why is no one questioning her? And she doesn't even have to apologize to Iris, Cecile, or any of the women that have been affected, or Cynthia, because she spends all of season 3 trying to get rid of her powers, and she goes on a massive rampage throughout the city. So that was Caitlin, not Killer Frost. And then Caitlin Snow in season 4, almost after trafficking people and after trying to kill people, she loses her powers. She shows up on a mission trying to get her powers back, and she almost gets Cynthia killed in the process. And then she doesn't even apologize to Cynthia, and she is disrespectful little shit to Iris in her own house. And Caitlin, as I've said earlier, she needs to like fucking go away, because nobody cares about her character. And the only time she's ever actually trending is when she's wearing the same color as Barry, or when she's standing near Barry. Like, literally, the only time, that is like the only time she trends. And she is a crappy ass character, and she needs to like go away. I'm sorry, but I don't like her. And I would have liked her, and yeah. Okay, number 4 on this list is Amunet Black. Amunet Black, I put her on this list because she was announced as the face of feminism. And I'm just like, why? She's not a good person. She's a literal human trafficker. And Cisco made fun of her dreads. I mean, wearing dreads doesn't automatically make you a white feminist if you're a white person, but like, just because she was harassed by some men and wanted to stand up for herself because she sounds like any other white feminist doesn't mean she should be the face of feminism. She literally is a human trafficker, has sold people, and they try to make her charming, and she's not. And she's an okay villain, but like, if you're gonna be a feminist, be like an intersectional feminist, like Viola Davis or Candace Patton. But to put Amunet Black as like, oh, she's good feminism representation, and I'm like, yeah, like Caitlin and Amunet are the poster children for white feminism. I mean, just forget the fact that Amunet trafficked people of color and sold them into meta-slavery, because, you know, there's no racism connotations to that. Never mind the fact that she starved a man and beat him. Basically beat him to a pulp because she wanted his powers. And she almost sold and made a stupid quip about selling Barry, about wanting to sell Barry / the Flash into meta-slavery and could have made a nice profit off of him. I'm like, who wants to sell people? Anyone who sells other people are pieces of shit. They need to go fuck themselves, and they're not good people at all, and they need to go to prison. Like, forever. Because trafficking people is so disgusting and gross. Number 3 on this list for white privilege. Mon-El. Ugh. I mean, he's an okay. Sometimes he's okay, but I really don't like Mon-El. And so is Kai Parker. Only because they're played by Chris Wood. But Mon-El on Supergirl is a horrible character. And they turned him into a slave owner. And then he's a black man, or he's a slave owner, white dude, frat boy of the universe, which is what Kara calls him, frat boy of the universe. And he literally owns slaves and replaced the black man as the love interest. And he's called, oh, he has had a rough past. Oh, he regretted slavery. And I'm just like, no. He can't do that. I'm like, well, you're supposed to change the past. And not change the past. You're supposed to change what you're against. And he was in a position of power and did absolutely nothing. All because he wanted to stay for Kara. And he was not a good love interest. And he just fucking sucked. Number 2 is Regina Mills. And I didn't know whether or not I should mention her because I put her on my list. And I know that she is technically a woman of color. She's a Latina, brown Latino woman, but she's white passing. And it feels like the writers write her as a woman of color when using racist tropes, but also don't acknowledge the fact that she's a woman of color. Does that make sense? I hope so. But I put her on this list because she is privileged, because she's the queen of sass, and she has an awesome sense of style, and she's very bold and sassy, and which is why I love her. And Lana Parrilla does an awesome job. And I hope someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but anyways, the problems with Regina I touched on in my previous Regina video is that she plotted revenge against the 10-year-old Snow White, all because Cora tricked Snow White, because Snow White's a freaking child. She tried to kidnap a little boy. She sent children to a cannibalistic witch. And yes, there's even a pile of bones of the children the cannibalistic witch ate. Because, you know, Regina's great with children. I don't know how well that's showing up. Yes. The lighting's kind of terrible. But yes, that was a pile of bones of. That was a pile of bones of the children that the witch ate that Regina sent into that sticky sweet house. And then there's the fact that Regina is a rapist and raped a man for almost 28 years. And I know I keep bringing that up and I keep touching on Regina. And the fact that Regina, like, plays victim when she's called out of her problems. And she's like, well, I don't take advice from someone who sends their child through a wardrobe. And I'm just like, well, you threatened to kill them. You threatened to kill their daughter. They were in danger because of you, and you were the cause of that. And you've ruined so many people's lives because you wanted revenge on one person, and you cursed an entire town because you're sadistic, and you murdered your own father. But people are like, poor Regina, oh, I feel so bad for you. It's okay, you're a good person now, but you're not, you have never once been called out properly or have any, you've never had to have any consequences for your actions. So you're kind of crappy that way. Sorry, but she is so... Regina can be so freaking whiny at times. And be like, the village doesn't... Nobody trusts me. And she says this to Rumple and whines and cries like, they don't love me. And she, like... This is right after she slaughters an entire village. Well, duh. Nobody's gonna fucking trust you. And she's always just pointing fingers at her bad behavior. But I don't really blame Regina because Lana Priya does such a great job of what she has to work with. And Regina, overall, in my opinion, just deserved better writing. But yeah, she is just so privileged. Number 1 is a tie between... Well, actually, Harrison Wells was the replacement for Regina, but I'll get into his character in a little bit. But number 1 is Zelina. And to my friend, the Wicked Merman, if you watch this video, sorry to kind of take a dump on Zelina and Regina because I know they're in your top 10. I know they are your favorite characters on this list, and they happen to be my 2 favorite actresses on this list. Sorry if you see this video. I'm sorry to like bash these characters. I'm not bashing, I'm just pointing out facts. And also, good luck to you in your defense for Regina argument, which I really do hope you make that video, because I really want to hear what you have to say, because I like hearing your opinions. Zelina is the sister to Regina, and she killed Marion, Robin Hood's wife, the second time around, because Regina killed Marion the first time around, disintegrated her body, so you sacrificed a woman of color for that. You do all of this stuff because you are jealous of Regina. And And then you not only kill off Marion by disintegrating her body, you take her place, you rape Robin Hood for months, get pregnant because of raping Robin Hood, and name your kid Robin. Which, I've said before, that to me, that just felt like Zelena rubbing it in that she could have a baby and Regina couldn't. Or it felt like the writers were rubbing it into women who couldn't have a baby because Regina's infertile, as I've said in my previous videos. And, like, she still gets to be a hero. She still gets to get a happy ending. She gets a daughter who loves her, even though she doesn't deserve to have a relationship with her daughter. And I know I shouldn't say that. But you raped Robin Hood to have your baby. And the fact that this isn't addressed, that Zelena raped Robin Hood, or that the fact that the female on male rape on this show is not addressed is just no. Okay. Because Zelena is played by a good actress, but she's not that great of a character. I mean, she's a good character, but she's not, she's basically just jealous of Regina and is doing all of this because of jealousy out of Regina. And she is just not a very, I don't know what to say. She's an okay character, but she's not like a fantastic character. But Rebecca Mader is a fantastic actress. So props to playing Zelena. Okay, what next? Blech. And then, bonus mention, Harrison Wells. Okay, the only Harrison Wells that I like is from Earth 1 and EOLs. But I'm sorry, Tom Cavanaugh, you need to go. Because Earth 1 Wells, the original Earth 1 Wells, before he got taken over by Eobard Thawne, I'm not going to say too much about him, but he seemed to have goals, and I feel really bad for him. But E.O. Wells, like, is a great villain, but people ship him with Barry, and he murdered Barry's mom and killed Cisco. Like, people ship Cisco with Wells. I don't ship Cisco with any Wells because Cisco deserves better than that, and he doesn't deserve to be shipped with his abuser. And then Earth 2 Harrison Wells has strangled Cisco, has broken Cisco's things without his permission. Well, not without his permission. Has touched and tampered with Cisco's things without Cisco's permission. He has broken Cisco's things. He has never apologized. He never offers to fix it. And he's just an overall dick to Cisco. He faked an illness to guilt Wally into not living with Jesse. And that is exactly how... And Earth 2 Harrison Wells Harry knows that's how Wally's mom died, was because of a grave illness due to drugs. But he pretends to have an illness, like, Earth 19 Harrison Wells, H.R. Wells, profits off of people's misery in the future, in a version of the future where Iris has died and he lies about being a scientist. Now we have stupid Sherlock Wells who like needs to like the Wells character and the 50 fucking iterations of Wells, they need to like fucking go away. Like they need to leave, they need to go away, they need to get the hell out of here because and nobody wants to see Sherlock Wells' 5 wives that he's been married to at least 7 times. Nobody gives a shit about that. What we want is Iris West Allen as a reporter, black female writers, and female friendships on the show. And please, 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 please get rid of the Wells character. Because I'm sorry, Tom Cavanaugh, you're a great actor, and your best performance came in the 100th episode. And that was probably the best performance I've seen out of Tom in a while. And it's not his fault, but like, I feel like the acting of Tom has gotten worse, or he just plays a really shitty character. And that's maybe why I don't think he's as good of an actor as he used to be. But he needs to go away. Go away, Wells. Anyways, this video was an hour long. Jeez, I didn't expect it to be that long. But anyways, if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And leave suggestions and have a good one.